We got some Falcons rumors to dive into on today's show, but first, our subscriber battle continues with Minnesota Vikings. Now, they got a 32 subscriber advantage on us here at Falcons today, so let's beat them to 13,000. Let's make it happen. Hit that subscribe button as we're bringing you Falcons news and rumors videos every single day. All you got to do is subscribe for free. Coming up on today's episode of Falcons Today by Chat Sports, I'm Harrison Graham. Bleacher Report suggested that the Falcons trade for 2 wide receivers, not 1, 2. And hey, listen, this team actually probably could use 2 wide receivers. Up first, the biggest trade rumor when it comes to a receiver this offseason. That is one DeAndre Hopkins, as the latest rumors have kind of shifted toward Arizona wanting to keep DeAndre Hopkins. I think that's more because they didn't get their asking price on a trade, and Brandon Cooks going for a 5th and a 6th certainly didn't help that cause, but they wanted a 2nd-round pick. That never materialized, so now they're kind of going public. We never wanted to trade him. We want to keep him. Well, that's easy to say when you don't get the proper trade value. Here's Monti Ossenfort, the Arizona Cardinals GM. He says, I don't foresee that happening. I don't know what is going to happen here in the next couple days. Right now, I don't foresee that happening. No, DeAndre's a Cardinal, and we're moving forward. Now, could there be a holdout? Could Hopkins go to Arizona brass and say, I want to play elsewhere? Maybe, but even he kind of mentioned, yeah, I never asked for a trade or anything. But again, he was also reportedly given permission to seek a trade before the draft. And again, I just don't think anything materialized because of his big contract, his advanced age, and just the market overall this offseason wasn't like last year where crazy contracts are being thrown out and all of that stuff. So I don't think Arizona had anything on the table that made sense for them, which is why the conversation has shifted. I do think a trade could still happen, but maybe it tilts into the season. Trade deadline, you never know how it could shake up. Now, here's Gary Davenport of Bleacher Report. He says, just because Ossenfort is saying that in April doesn't mean that a deal won't strike in June. The Cardinals are a rebuilding team with a level of uncertainty at quarterback due to Kyler Murray's injury. Hopkins is on the wrong side of 30 and carries a cap hit north of $30 million, which those are all great points. Like, I've said it for a while, like with Kyler Murray probably going to miss at least the start of the season, Arizona's not going to contend this year. So that's why I do think maybe a trade deadline trade happens, a team with wide receiver need to make a push for a Super Bowl. Not sure the Falcons would be that team, but you never know. Do you want to trade for DeAndre Hopkins? Type T for trade, or you can type P for pass. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. T for trade or P for pass. He would certainly help this group. I really like Drake London. I thought he did some good things as a rookie last year. Matt Collins had a nice year last year, but he's really more of like a wide receiver 4. Like, he's your rotate in guy at outside receiver, not start and play 75% of the snaps. Scotty Miller, he's an okay slot. And then you got a bunch of guys that the average NFL fan has never heard of. So if you get Hopkins in here, pair him with London, and then, everybody slides down a slot, you're feeling a lot better at that point in time. It's pretty clear that this Falcons roster needs another receiver. So will they make a splash for one, whether it's trading for Hopkins or someone else? Could they wait and see if there's a post-Q1 cut? I mean, Mike Florio dropped a report earlier today that maybe the Cardinals just end up cutting DeAndre Hopkins. That would make things a lot easier for Atlanta to consider picking him up in that regard. But obviously then you got to compete with a bunch of teams who could be a little bit more enticing than the Falcons. DeAndre Hopkins, in my opinion, is still a very good player. I know the numbers have been a little down last year for various reasons. He had the suspension last year before, missed some time with injury. But when he's healthy, I still think he's a number 1. Maybe he's not top 5, top 10 receiver in the game anymore, but I still think he's top 15 for sure, a number 1 for most teams. And he would be the number 1 here, I think, at least in the short term. Drake London showed last year he could become that number 1 type of guy. But you get Hopkins with London, and hopefully Kyle Pitts bounces back. You got Bijan Robinson in the draft. If Desmond Ridder can do some things, like this offense could actually do something if that were to happen. But we'll have to wait and see. The cap hit is something to consider as well with Hopkins. I think that's what held some teams back as well via trade. I think a couple of teams would have given up a day 2 pick. They just wanted him to probably reduce that cap number. Maybe he wasn't willing to do that. A lot of things that could have been in play. We'll see if things shake out between now and training camp. All right, pick up this Falcons crew neck, which is on sale right now at chatsports.com/Falcons crew. That link will be in the comments and in the description. Sometimes simple is better. Long sleeve crew here. You got the Falcons logo. You're good to go. Go pick one up today at chatsports.com/Falcons crew. Again, that link will be in the description and in the comments. We go from DeAndre Hopkins to Corey Davis, the second receiver that Bleacher Report mentioned in this article. Here's Gary Davenport once again. He says, in New York, Davis is the third option in the passing attack behind Garrett Wilson and Allen Lazard at best. The odds he'll be on the team in 2024 range between slim and none. But the 6'3", 209-pounder is also a talented young wideout who was once the 5th overall pick. Now, if I'm Atlanta, I'm at least waiting until June 1st to see if Corey Davis is a post-June 1st cut, because the Jets have to pay Quinnen Williams. They already restructured Carl Lawson, so they're starting to move money around. Like, if I'm Atlanta, I'm not trading a draft pick for Corey Davis when I think he might be available to sign in 2 weeks. Now, if June comes and goes and he still hasn't signed, maybe you offer the Jets a late-round pick to secure Davis over a different team. But for now, I'm not going to force the issue here for Corey Davis. For Hopkins, I would be willing to be a little bit more aggressive. For Corey Davis, I'm not going to go that far. Now, you look at each of these players' time with their current team, obviously, or with Corey Davis with the Titans versus the Jets is what I meant to say here, is, the Jets have obviously had a bit of a mess at quarterback the past 2 years. So he hasn't quite had the huge numbers there. Now, he's only played in 22 games. Some injuries have been a problem there as well. But he has some big playability, 17 touchdowns in his career. So we'll see. I think he'd be a great number 2 here. I think London would be the number 1 in this scenario. But it's hard to see how things will shake out. Davis was certainly a better player when the Jets signed him, right? Like, when they got him from Tennessee, they were thinking, oh, this guy could be a number 1. Had that big breakout year as last year with the Titans, got a nice little deal. And, of course, remember, Arthur Smith was the offensive coordinator in Tennessee when Corey Davis was there. Arthur Smith, now the Falcons head coach, connections building there, if you will. But, again, you can't force the issue here. I would rather wait and see if he gets cut and then sign him. But maybe the Falcons feel differently. Maybe they'd rather just secure him and go and trade for him. I would like to see him become a Falcon because whether you trade or sign him after he gets cut, I don't think he's going to cost a crazy amount. He's still a young enough player. He knows Arthur Smith's system, and he's a quarterback-friendly guy. I think he could help Desmond Ridder get some easy completions here. So I would like to see this happen. I think this is realistic-ish because the Jets are pretty deep at receiver now, so moving Davis would make sense. So time will tell. We'll have to wait and see. I mentioned this earlier, but I'll mention it again. He'd be a wide receiver 2 with Arthur Smith, Drake Londinger 1, and then you got Kyle Pitts. I like that trio of weapons. Run the football with Bijan and Tyler Algier. If Ridder can just be a game manager with these weapons, then this team could be decent offensively. It really could. I like the offensive line as well. So it should be an interesting next couple of months as we get closer to training camp and, of course, the 2023 season. Do you want Corey Davis? Simple question. Type Y for yes, or you can go ahead and type in for no. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Now, you look at the overall wide receiver production career-wise, not a lot, right? Drake London, great rookie year. He did that all as a rookie, so that's strong. Matt Collins, about half of that production was last year with the Raiders. Scotty Miller, he had pretty much one really good year with the Bucs. At last 2 years, he has less than 300 yards total. Kaderil Hodge, he's done nothing. So you definitely, like I said, have to add at this position. If you really want to give Desmond Ridder an opportunity this year, you got to get a number 2. I mean, you got to go get someone. We talked about some free agents that are still out there. It's not the strongest crop of players remaining, the Julios, the Kenny Gallaudays, the Jarvis Landrys of the world. But if you can get a Hopkins, if you can get a Corey Davis, if someone else comes available on the trade block, I think it's something you have to consider if you're serious about evaluating Ridder. If not, if you're kind of like, hey, we're just going to throw you to the Sharks. If you shock us and play well, great. If not, we're just going to draft a quarterback next year, then cool, yeah, you don't need to do that. But for a team that spent a lot this offseason, I think adding one more piece on the offense could make a lot of sense. And again, I think Corey Davis is probably the more realistic option, but I certainly would take either. DeAndre Hopkins, for my money, is still one of the better receivers in the National Football League. All right, guys, that's it for today's episode of Falcons Today. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Don't miss any of our coverage moving forward. OTAs around the corner, so lots of stuff to break down for you guys. I'm Harrison Graham. We'll see you guys next time here at Chat Sports.